Hi guys, welcome to XtraTalk. Today with Sahbi and Papimento. Guys, welcome. Thank you for being here. We have a couple of things to discuss today. Last week we started with talking about the youngsters, whether they're getting chances, etc., etc. Today we're going the other side. We're going to look at the veteran players, the experienced players we have in the squad. And what I'm actually looking for is to have a discussion, a healthy discussion. So Papimento, please relax a little bit today. About basically, do we have enough experienced players in the team? Do we have a balanced team? Or do we have too many of those players currently in our team? And when I think about the experienced players, I'm not talking about Tagliafico, because Tagliafico has been at a younger age with Ajax and should have been actually with another team, but he's still with us. I'm talking about the ones that got back to us. So the ones that we got this summer, it was Klaassen, which was obvious, but we also got Stekelenburg. We extended our contract with Huntelaar for another year. Last year, we got Promes. Promes is not a veteran, but it's an experienced player who played outside of the Netherlands and Russia and in Spain, and we got him back. He's now 28 years of age. And, of course, it all started with, the success here when we got Tadic and Blind, and that fitted perfectly in our team. So these are also veteran or experienced players, which we started getting to Ajax. To elevate basically our level. So my question today is how far should Ajax go in getting these players back to Ajax, so the ones that we're discussing, and where is the balance in having enough experienced players and giving youngsters the chance, because we have to also take this into consideration. So my question first, Sahbi, how do you view this?
Thank you, Juan. The way I see it is, obviously, we do need experienced players. We have seen in the past that only talented players doesn't bring you far enough in the Champions League, and that's our aim. We want to compete as much as possible on a higher level. So when Daley came in, Daley Blind, it was nice. It was good. He came back from United. He was benched, and when he came back to Ajax, he played terrific. Unfortunately, now he has a fallback, which can happen, but okay. Hopefully, it doesn't stay long this way. With regards to Stekelenburg, I didn't agree that much with bringing him back. I mean, he was brought back as a second keeper. We have sufficient keepers. We have talented keepers. We know talented keepers won't play a lot. The second keeper won't play a lot. So keep them in the squad and let them experience with some games within the first team, and now it doesn't happen. So no, for Stekelenburg, there was no need to buy him. Klaassen, obvious. I think he's a clear addition for the team. He brings balance. He brings leadership. He brings experience, especially with Gravenberg beside him. So that goes very well. Promes, unfortunately, this year, it's not really coming out. He was really used to Ziyech with the passes, with the great pass of Ziyech, and in that way, he was able to finish them off in a perfect way. This year, he doesn't have any added value. He's still 28, so I guess my assumption is he will leave after this year. Maybe we can get some of the transfer sum at the end of the season. For Klaassen, I think he will be able to stay with us at least for some years. So we do need some experienced players. That's basically the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I think Ajax is a youth development team, right? So they have to have their focus is youth development and bringing them in the first team from young Ajax. But if we look at Tadic, for example, he came in 17-18 season with Frenkie de Jong, with De Ligt. He made 28 goals, I think 18 assists, 15 assists, something like that. That was his best season. After that, you saw last year that those stats were the half of it. This year, he's making his goals and getting assists, but how long can he continue like this? I mean, there's been some games that I thought Tadic needed to be subbed off. He has another contract. His contract goes to 2023. So that's another 2 years. Look, if status is not an issue at Ajax, I don't mind getting experienced players. But if somebody is better than that experienced player, then the coach should put that experienced player on the bench. And will he do that so easily? I mean, we know that with Huntelaar, he did that, but also Dolberg went away because of Huntelaar getting the playing time and Dolberg wasn't informed. But if we look at, for instance, Klaassen is somebody, he would be useful on every position on the midfield. So it wouldn't really hurt the youth development unless you already have 3 youth that should be first or starter in the team, which doesn't happen regularly. So for him to go another 5 years, I get it. For Blind, I think his defensive capabilities are really lacking. The only reason he's still on the pitch is his forward intention and his passing. I don't see anyone of the. Don't get me wrong. I don't see anyone of the youth now taking over that role from Daley Blind, but he's not the youngest anymore, and he's not the best defender anymore. So you have to consider what are we going to do with that? Because another 2 years of Blind with this defending, I don't think that we can manage. No.
No, definitely not. No, definitely not. The way I see it is the youth academy, as you said, is the vein of the club. That's the way we get our income. So number one is always youth academy. If you don't see a player having that level of what Ajax wants to see within the youth academy, we need to buy an experienced player, at least somebody between 22 and 24, who is able to play at Ajax, to drag the team a bit, and at the end, when they can be sold for a higher amount. What we have done now with Klaassen is we bought him at 28. He was really needed. Apparently, there was no player around who can quickly adapt to the Ajax system, just as Klaassen. That's okay. For Tadic, you said he's not delivering in comparison with the 2018 year. I do agree with you, but he's still one of the fittest player in the squad. He got leadership, so it shouldn't always depend on age. It should depend on what he delivers. And I do agree. Okay, he should be subbed in certain cases, but if you see his leadership and the way he drags the team and the way he is coaching the team, I think that's something that would be really missed if he wasn't around.
Look, with Tadic, if he was playing central and he's static, I don't mind, But he's not being played central. He's being played left winger, where I prefer a faster player that can give a cross, but also dribble inside the penalty area and be dangerous. And if you put him on the left wing, Tadic is not the one that's going to dribble inside the penalty box and create something. He's or going to cross it, or maybe a Tagliafico that goes over him. But he's not that guy that passes one-on-one a player anymore. And we have to accept that. His skill is holding the ball, and from there, people that come up can continue the attack. But that's it. That's his strongest skill at the moment.
True. But as we've seen in the latest games of Ajax, we don't really play with wingers who give crosses as a true left or right winger. Anthony always dribbles inside. The way Tadic does is actually the same. He doesn't dribble directly one-on-one, but he does hold the ball, as you said. He can give passes. He has a terrific left foot. So not really agreeing with you that he isn't of added value on the left wing. It's true, on the strike position, he does well, but we have Traore right now. He's in form. And Tadic is a player that you need to play, especially Promes is not in form. Who else would you put on the left wing? There is no other player.
Neres?
Yeah, okay, Neres, but I don't see him performing that well on the left side, to be honest.
And you're saying also they're not giving enough crosses, but you see enough of the time, or the winger or the backs coming inside the penalty area and passing to the side, so they can shoot the ball to the goal, right? So Tadic is not the player that's going to run into the box with the ball on his feet. Usually it's static and he holds the ball and then he continues passing.
You could. We saw the goal of the assist of Tadic against Midtjylland. This is something that he often does. He tries to short dribble into the penalty area and get crosses. Sometimes he shoots, but often he sends out crosses, and a lot of assists comes from that point to a striker. So, yeah, I see him still having added value, and the way he plays, I think he can proceed from that position, definitely.
I think this will be his last season as a starter, I think. And I think next year will be for the youngsters. They will get more chance.
I don't think so. I think.
Don't forget, he's 31. In 3 days, Tadic will be 32.
Yeah,
okay?
but his physics.
So, and he has another contract till 2023. I think the last 2 years we're going to see less of Tadic, definitely.
No, really don't think so. His aim is, of course, to play to see out his contract and then have a training course within Ajax at Ajax. So the aim is to
become a coach, right?
Sorry?
To become a coach at Ajax.
To become a coach, youth coach, or whatever. I see, for example, Neres leaving at the end of the season. So at the end, we will be missing a lot of players. So Tadic will definitely play. He's a player that will be kept, definitely. But we'll see.
Yeah. Last thing I want to say about that, I think Tadic will be from next year on good for the Eredivisie, but I think we will notice it in the Champions League.
Guys, to put things a little bit more into perspective, because you guys talked about a couple of points which are very valid. We're looking at the players individually, right? And some players, as Papimento just said, those players are right now at a higher level than what we have in the entire squad. Especially the youngsters are not at that level yet that they can surpass the veteran players that we have. So we agree on that, right? However, my question would be right now, how long will this continue? Because let us put it on the other. Let's look at the flip side of the situation. The flip side of the situation is that in the summer, Botman left to Lille because he was second choice behind Blind. Noah Lang left to Club Brugge because he was maybe third or fourth choice on the squad, because also Ten Hag chose to put Tadic on the left wing side and not as a striker anymore. And then you also have Promes who can play on the left side, and then you have Neres that can play on the left side. So Noah Lang was maybe fourth choice even. And in Club Brugge, he could play more minutes, so he left as well. Well, these two examples are very clear. Now we have Traoré, who has been given a chance to play as a striker, and he's showing that he's developing. We have to wait and see how far he can reach. But because of Tadic shifting to the left, you see a youngster coming up and showing and surprising people that, hey, there is another one standing. And this is basically what Ajax is all about. You always worry about like the steady players or the stable players, as players that we all know leaving or going away. And then we all start scratching our head and thinking, okay, who's the next one? But we always deliver. We always have youngsters. Now, I also want to add to this equation that I read an interview of Overmars a couple of days ago in which he stated that the youngsters should have more patience because they think nowadays that even after a couple of games in Young Ajax, they should already given a chance at the first squad. And you're seeing this a little bit also with the contract negotiations. We touched upon that, a couple of weeks ago. But Broby, for instance, there is a reason why it's taking so long, Also with the other youngsters, it's taking longer, to commit to Ajax. And you're seeing a little bit a shift. You're seeing a shift in, these youngsters. It's not easy anymore because you're getting all the veteran players or the experienced players to elevate the level. At the same time, it's becoming harder for the youngsters to get there. So where is the balance? Where should we balance this? How do you guys see this? It's a very difficult question, I understand, but try to also look at both sides.
Well, to start with, it starts with the agents. Players within the youth academy, really they get really impatient. When they play some games, they think they need to get a chance at the first team, as you said. It's also the agents who really put pressure on the management, on the coach to play him. Otherwise, they will seek another club. Even if they will be benched at another club, they will get a higher salary. So it's basically the same as within Ajax, only you get a better salary. So they put pressure on the players. Next to that, I think the coach needs to show some more balls. He needs to give talented players more or less a chance. With Brobbey, it's unfortunate from his side. We got Traore, who's also young and he's performing. He played Brobbey and he did well when he was sub. So it's okay, but he needs to wait for his chance. We all know he's a great talent, but talent doesn't always bring you the level which you seek. You also need to have determination. You need to have that grit, and you need to stay focused. And that's something that he needs to show. But with Ten Hag, it looks like he doesn't want to bring the talents within the defense. We see Tagliafico. Okay, clear, he's a starter. He will not be sub. But for example, the right back, we bought a player, Kleiber, which I think, okay, normally a talented right back could get his chance to play behind Mazraoui. The same applies in the center of defense. If Blind doesn't deliver, then we need to look at players who can get their chance. The young players, young talents, they see Blind playing awful, and still he's a starter. The players, these type of players, will think twice to see whether they want to proceed or not within Ajax. You saw with Botman, he left, and now he's one of the best defenders in France, which has a higher level than the Eredivisie. So he could easily play beside a right central defender. The same applies for Schuurs. He is a young defender, okay, but if he doesn't deliver, look at Timber. Timber can easily take over that role, and we'll see how he will manage, how he will play against bigger teams to see how he plays. So it's also depending on the coach, and from that perspective, I don't see him doing a lot, unfortunately enough.
Look, I see it different. I'm sorry, Sahbi, but look, we had the whole policy with the Frank de Boer era that we only wanted to buy from the Eredivisie and only a max of $4 million. And what did we see week in, week out? One week it was great. Other week talents don't show up, and we had a bad game, and it was constantly going up and down. So these experienced players are necessary. It's just a question of making the right choices, I guess, for the coach. If I look, for instance, in the situation of Dolberg, should you put in Huntelaar because he will score, or will you let a young player play a little bit more just to get his form back? And that option is not there. Maybe back in the day, but now I'm very happy that Ajax goes for steals. And if you're good enough, players that are waiting, even Frenkie de Jong had to wait a year. So, and he was a great player already, and people were talking about him. Let them get their experience at young Ajax. If you're good enough, look at Gravenberg, look at Timber that already got a couple of chances. Look at the Traore that got his chance. You will get your chance in the first team. Anthony, Kudus are also young players, and they immediately started. So this should be motivation for the young kids to be like, okay, I'm not there yet. What should I improve? And work on it every day so they become the first team instead of just taking the next best option and that's just leaving. Because leaving will not help you in life. And if you look at Ziyech, he started playing better when he was 24, and at 27, he stopped. So you can start becoming better at a later stage in life. And you don't have to have everything now.
Well, actually, I never said we don't need any experienced players. First of all,
No.
No, because you didn't.
That's not what I meant. But what I meant was what Juan, what he said about youngsters complaining after a couple of games in young Ajax, they already want to play for the first team. Even Frank de Jong took a year before he
No, but
went there.
that's something I agree upon. I only said that it's because of the agent they put pressure on the player and the coach. I mean, I'm actually in favor of having experienced players within the lineup, especially perhaps even one on every line. So in defense, preferably an experienced player. In midfield, the spine of the team, an experienced player, and in front in attack. Okay, you might have an experienced players, but not really necessary. But what I'm saying is, players that are good enough, they should get their chance, of course. But if we have players in front of them who are already playing well, who are doing well, they need to wait, and they need to wait until they get their chance. Just like Robbie, and he's doing well, but he has to wait his chance because he has Traore in front of him, probably even Huntelaar, and even Tadic in certain cases.
Yeah,
So
but Brobbey, even Ten Hag said Brobbey is not fit enough. So Brobbey is not
but it's a matter of time.
for me the marker. But Univar, for instance, everybody's been talking about Univar. Everybody's talking about Taylor to get minutes already in the first team. But I've seen them play. They're not at that level yet. So they can complain, but let them get the experience and become better before they want to start at the first team.
No, well, with Univar, I do agree because we have a lot of players in attack. So he should get his minutes somewhere in the future. He still needs to develop at the youth of Ajax because he doesn't even play every game at young Ajax. For Taylor, maybe it's time for him this season to get his minutes, not as a starter, but as I said in previous podcasts, once the squad lets it, just bring him in, and let him show the world that he's capable of playing for Ajax, even though not at the level within the Champions League, but within the Eredivisie. If you're 3-0 up, 4-0 up, bring him in. It will give.
If it was up to me, I would start them at every cup game. So for me, the Dutch Cup doesn't mean much either. So put the youngsters in.
Yeah, that will be a possibility.
Okay, guys, I just want to ask you one more question because you guys raised a very interesting topic. So I want to add the question to that just to finalize this whole discussion. But before I do, I just want an answer, just a yes or no, please, on the following. The current players, the veteran or experienced players, the ones that we discussed. So what you're saying basically is we have the right balance right now in the squad. That's the first question, yes or no?
No.
Yes.
Okay. Papimento, in one sentence, why don't we have the right balance right in this squad? In terms of the experienced players?
I think some of them are already on their way back.
But right now,
they're not the experienced player we bought when we bought them. It's an 80%, maybe 90%, maybe 70% version of them.
Okay, Sahbi, would you like to comment?
Well, there is a balance. We bought Klaassen, who brought definitely balance within midfield. We got Tadic, who brought a balance in attack. Blind is there to get the balance in defense. He isn't there yet. I don't think he will be able to be a starter as of next year. He's out of form right now, but yeah, he's still needed. We only need somebody at his right side to complement him. But yeah, he needs to step up. Otherwise, it will be over, and then we need another experienced player on his position.
See, can I respond to that? Look, when Blind came in at his top, he's a great player, and the Ligt was next to him, so he could clean up a lot. But this is a big ask from somebody that doesn't have the quality from the Ligt to clean up after Blind at a lower level of his performance. So it's also putting a lot of pressure on Schuurs, I think.
True, but nonetheless, I mean, the Ligt was there, and of course, nobody will be able to perform as the Ligt in the coming years. But still, if we get a clear and a fast player next to Blind, I think they will able to complement each other. But it's all about what Ajax, what Ten Hag wants. If we keep Schuurs, then we need another player next to him. Otherwise, we can keep Blind and then put in a different player on the right side.
All right, guys. So let me ask the question, right? The final question of today. So you guys were touching on the youngsters, right? I mean, being a bit impatient to go to the first team. At the same time, we talked about we have experienced players there. Those youngsters are not at the level that they can surpass the Blind, the Tadic, the Klaassen, etc. So Promes, etc. So because our team level compared to a couple of years ago has gone up, so we can say yes, we've gone up in terms of level because we're competing on Champions League now year after year. At the same time, we see that with the introduction the last couple of years of young Ajax, that also the youngsters now have a place in which they can play and develop against more mature players than only playing in the youth, youth tournaments, etc. Should we also add a layer between the young Ajax and our first squad in the sense that maybe Ajax should start thinking, doing more of what they did with Danilo? Giving him a chance or loaning him out to Twente. Because in that sense, you will give him also, the youngsters, an opportunity to play in the Eredivisie. Probably, if they're good enough, they will definitely play for certain teams. And then they will mature more. And maybe the year after that, they will be able to play for the first team. I mean, I'm not talking for all the young players, but maybe Ajax should do that more than what they're already doing. How do you guys see this? It's just a suggestion.
Well, for me, it's quite simple. If you're too good for young Ajax and there's no place for you at the first team, you need to be loaned out. You need to develop. It's quite clear. You mean if you're too good, why playing at young Ajax? You won't get any better. You're dragging the team, but it doesn't make you better. You're probably making the team better. But young Ajax is only to develop the Ajax players. They don't play for any cup or even if they win the league, which they have done in the past, it doesn't give you a trophy or something that you can keep. It's all about getting your development better and better. So if they are too good for young Ajax and they're not too good for and they're not that good for the first team, they need to get loaned out. They should do it on a structural way.
Yes. Can I ask you just one more question about this? Is there any player right now within Ajax that will fit into what you're saying? So he should have been loaned out this season?
Ekkelenkamp? Don't you think Ekkelenkamp is one of those?
Well, it depends. Ekkelenkamp is he's basically a first team player now. He's been registered within the first squad. So, but if he could get loaned out, I would definitely support that. But if we're talking about youth, the young Ajax, no, I don't see anybody literally dragging the team within young Ajax. So they need to play more games and show the world, show us that they're capable of performing in a structured way and dragging the team. I don't see that right now.
Oh, are you waiting for me? What was the question again?
Well, you don't have to comment if you don't want to. No, the question was whether we should loan out more players in the Eredivisie, the ones that are too good for young Ajax, but not ready for the first team of Ajax. You're still with us, right?
Yeah, still with you. It's a hard question because look, if I'm looking at the number 10 position at Ajax, okay, I know Klaassen can play that position, but he's now more of a holding midfielder than really a 10. I like a 10 that's really a playmaker. It's a limited player pool you can choose of. I mean, we're putting Promes, we're putting Neres, we're putting Tadic number 10, but we don't have a number 10. Labiat as a number 10, but those are all number 10. So I agree. Okay, if there's a lot of players at Ajax that can't play in the first team, loan them out, fine. But Ajax is also not Manchester City or something that they have the budget to have unlimited players. That's not it with Ajax. So for me is hold the players that can give you some benefits in the season, coming in as a sub. that are close to the first team, and everything that you know for sure, like Danilo, that are not in the first team intentions, loan them out and see you in a year.
All right, guys, thank you so much. This was it for today. We talked a lot about the player squad. Next up are the games. One more international game for the Dutch team, and we go back to the Ajax Eredivisie. So, thank God.
Yeah, Eredivisie.
All right, guys. See you next time.
See you.
See you soon.
Hey there, thanks for watching. A thumbs up if you enjoyed that video. Subscribe so we can bring you more awesome content. Do it.